just about everyone in the state, and everyone, frankly, in our society is now trying to help people in KwaZulu-Natal to try and get people their food and water and clothes. In many cases, as you just see now, some kind of shelter. Everyone who can go to communities there is going. One of the people who's already been this weekend, she was in several of those communities yesterday, is the Public Protector, Advocate Busisiwe Mkhwebane. She joins us now. Madam Public Protector, thank you for your time. I really do appreciate it. Good afternoon to you. You've been to places like Newzroom, Lindela and Mkhwebane, excuse me. What have you seen there with your own eyes this weekend?
Good evening or afternoon. I wouldn't even say good evening because the situation is very, very dire, Stephen, and to the listeners and viewers. I went to KwaMashu with the KwaMashu Business Forum. They are, at least as a community, they came together. They are assisting the communities. They have various places where they provide food. And we also went to Newzroom. There's also a local pastor who's accommodating some at his church, and others are accommodated in a hall. I must indicate that the situation is terrible, Stephen. Where we were at KwaMashu, the families are still there on the streets. There's children. There's one woman with a child who's having a disability. There's another one who's sitting there, an old woman, saying she will never leave the place because her son is buried under the rubble, and now some of them are digging themselves. So they need excavators, they need dogs at least to sniff around, but they know that their families died there. Then we went to Molweni, and as well the situation is also very, very painful. One family, they've lost their two sons. And, you know, in our culture, once you lose a family member, you then sit and mourn the passing of that family member. They don't have a house. Imagine losing everything. They are sitting at the next door house to mourn. But my biggest concern, which I've also been raised with I finally managed to get hold of the Premier today. I'm still looking for the MEC of Social Development because there are a lot of children. They don't have food. Yes, the communities are trying to help, but then nothing is there. Stephen, the situation is horrible. And I mean, if a disaster is declared in terms of the law, you'd expect that for now there would be every, in fact, state functionary that this disaster is declared, the National Department to provide all the resources, the equipment. Because, I mean, the excavation, you can't have family members digging. And yesterday it was hot. There was already a stench coming out of the area. So I think what I also proposed to the Premier is that urgently have an operations center where all the departments can sit. Whoever is assisting, at least it's a coordinated process. Because what I did is I said, let them give me the list of all the affected families, so that we can hand it over in a coordinated manner. Another thing, we will have an agent meeting with the Forum of Institutions Supporting Democracy, where we've got Chapter 9, Chapter 10, and Chapter 13 institutions to see how also in a coordinated manner we can assist. You know, when the Premier calls for assistance, this is the assistance. I'm also pledging, in fact, urging churches, NGOs and everyone, but we need the government to lead and to be very, very responsive. The MEC of Human Settlement, it promised to build temporary structures, but I think it's slow, it's still slow, and people are so traumatized. They need counseling. I think we need to see more of the public servants on the ground, Stephen, instead of having meetings and still planning, because this needs an agent intervention.
Are you suggesting at this stage, I mean, it's very difficult to know if government is doing enough. There just isn't enough that government can do. Do you think government should be doing more? You say you want to see government officials actually out in communities. Are you worried government isn't reacting enough?
You know, yesterday I was with a business forum, and there was no, well, it's only the councillors who are also trying to make shift whatever they can do. The areas are visited, and the children and, old people sleeping in the makeshift one church, and the building is so old. And another one, they are at the local school, and the school was saying they would want to use the classes from next week, so they must find a way to move. But I'm saying, Stephen, if government is quick enough, all those children, all those people, because the National Disaster Management Act is very clear. After the declaration of a disaster, then you are all out, you go there, you put people in shelters, you provide mattresses, you provide blankets, you provide food. People have lost their IDs, their birth certificates. Others are saying it's 2 days, 3 days. They are not even, they don't have clothes. So I think the speed with which they are moving is still slow. I think they can do better. I know everyone should be putting hands on deck, but then there are limitations for especially the business forums who are also trying to get donations from wherever they can get to assist.
And ma'am, unfortunately in the past, I mean at the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic, we saw people actually using an emergency, using a disaster. Well, they stole money from government. Is it important to just warn people not to do that again now?
You know, there are provisions in the Public Finance Management Act, in the MFMA, and the very same disaster management legislation. They can do it. Hence, my issue is establish that operations center. Bring all the parties together, your provincial treasury, your national COCTA, your provincial COCTA, all the various departments, bring in HODs, and the DG of the province, and even the local chiefs, because those people are in their communities. You can do this, Stephen, expediently, because if everyone is going to that center, you get approvals on time, and monies will be utilized properly. And hence I'm saying as well, with the Forum for Institutions Supporting Democracy, I've seen the AG as well said they will be assisting. So we are there to help them to utilize the fund, the finances, so that we are proactive and we don't wait now. And after people have extended on the monies, now we start investigating. Hence, I'm saying, no, we are not here to blame, but we are here to make sure that the resources which are availed, indeed, they are helping those who are supposed to be helped. So I think we can do better, and I think we've learned from COVID. Let's now change the way we were doing things. Let's have that particular process. But my worry, again, is the slow pace in which such forums or such operations center, because now I should be calling and saying they are following a number of people. Can they be assisted? And you know that social development is providing a human settlement, knows that I must do this. SAPs, especially the police dogs, are enough. They go and check if there's enough equipment, the excavation. But that is not happening, Stephen, and it's
so much to it, isn't there? Such a terrible situation. Ma'am, I really appreciate the time. Thank you very much indeed. That's the Public Protector, Advocate Busisiwe Mkhwebane.